Hello, welcome back to the Harmony Inspired Health podcast, where ancient wisdom meets womanhood, modern womanhood, something like that. Anyway, today's guest is a powerhouse of raw truth, feminine leadership, and unapologetic realness. She's a mother, a yoga facilitator, a keynote speaker, writer, and the founder of The Fold, an online platform tailored to women offering empowering education, support, and mindful movement through each unfolding season of womanhood. Alice Browning is on a mission to challenge the glossy highlight reels of the wellness industry to bring the messy, magical, and sometimes maddening truth of what it actually means to be well in a woman's body. And yes, she's also on a quest for the best sticky date pudding with hot butter Scotch sauce. Priorities, right?
It's true.
Today, we're going to be diving into the taboos, the myths, and the must-haves around wellness, especially for women who are tired of faking balance and want to reclaim their truth with bravery and grace. Welcome to the podcast, Alice.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh, me too. Look, I know I often say I'm excited for this guest, and it's usually because I only have guests I'm excited about. But for Alice, I truly am really excited because we actually went to school together. We grew up riding horses together at Pony Club, and then we did our thing. Alice drifted up to Sydney, down to Sydney, I should say. I'm in Queensland on the Gold Coast, and yeah, so reconnecting's lots of fun. But yeah, lots of good memories before we even hit record.
We just had a big old giggle about all of our past little haunts.
Oh yeah, I'm sure some of them are gonna come out to bite us. But I would really want to start with the most important question: have you found the best sticky date pudding yet?
I've definitely found one of the top 3. I'm going to say that. I mean, sticky date is like you know what? It's a seasonal thing, and I know people have it in winter, but I'm just like, give it to me on a 35-degree day. Like, I don't care. I will absolutely have it with just like an extra dollop of ice cream on a 35-degree day. It's just delightful. There's actually a pretty good one in Sydney where I am. So I try not to go to that restaurant often because it gets a little unhinged if I'm left to my own devices.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you learn something new every day. I didn't know you were a sticky date pudding. I remember when we used to go riding and then would go back to your house, you always made like the rice cakes with salad and sweet chili sauce on.
Yeah, man. My mom was the ultimate almond mom. Like, now that's a thing. That wasn't a thing before. But now I look back and I go, Mom is just like, I was like, can I have a sweet treat? And she's like, you can have a dried apricot. And I was like, that's not a sweet treat. But now, of course, I'm very thankful for that upbringing.
I know, it's where we grew up, right?
Yeah. It's like, thanks, Mom. But honestly.
And now you're a mama yourself. You wear many hats: mama, writer, yoga teacher, facilitator, founder. What fuels you to do what you do now? Because I always thought you were going to get into acting.
Well, I did. I did do acting for 14 years. And I do feel like that's really supported me and put me in good stead for where I've ended up. I was just speaking to a student yesterday, and so I'm doing an Australian tour with a really big beauty brand. I'm their keynote speaker. And I said, you know me, I love a captive audience. It's like, lock the doors, you're in, like, get ready for my jokes, get ready for my monologues. Standing in front of people and speaking and sharing kind of slabs of my heart, I know that's other people's main fear. It's actually my happy place. And sometimes I wish I wasn't so happy in front of a camera or an audience because it can get a little dicey sometimes, but I absolutely love it.
So buckle in, guys. But I do agree. I think if you're teaching yoga and you're teaching on a platform as well, your online platform, it would help you build that confidence. I mean, you've always been confident, but like being able to speak to an audience, being able to read an audience. And
Yeah, absolutely. And, when I'm trying to find facilitators or I'm getting a new practitioner on my team at The Fold or even a new yoga teacher, you can be the most amazing practitioner or yoga teacher and so well honed in your craft and so knowledgeable. But if you don't have that ability to exude warmth and kind of break down that fourth wall and pretend that there's no screen between you and the people that are tuning in, that's something that can't be taught. And I did try in the very early years of The Fold to like almost mentor people and show them how to be on screen, but it's not something that can really be taught. There's little factors that can be taught, but you kind of either have it or you don't. And sometimes that's the really hard process in finding a new practitioner or teacher. It's like, I really like you and I love what you're about, but if you can't stand there and really build a relationship with these people or this person, it just kind of isn't going to work.
Absolutely. And especially in that industry.
Yeah.
Like it's so important because it's deep. It's a deep industry.
It is a deep industry. And, standing there in front of, I had like at capacity classes last night at my studio here in Sydney, and it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of talking to people before, talking to people afterwards. Some people want to download on you. Other people just, want your playlist or whatever the thing is. It's like, it's a lot of energy, and you've got to be able to filter through that and really find your steady footing and not kind of get overwhelmed. And then you get to go home and kind of fall in a heap at your partner's feet and be like, I can't talk anymore. I'm done. I'm out. I'm over it. I just need to go to bed.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't always get the best of us.
They do not get the best of us. I was just speaking to someone about that the other day. It's like, my partner does not get the best of me. And he's like, everyone loves you and everyone finds you so bubbly and so amazing. He's like, what do I get? And I'm like, the rags of it. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's
the
what it is.
leftovers. So, what got you into the yoga teaching? And
The yoga teaching, uh, it it happened quite quickly. My little story about it is always that, as did you, we grew up, in Mullumbimby, in Maynham kind of area, very Northern Rivers, and we all had hippie parents, and we all kind of hated it. It wasn't cool at that time. The Northern Rivers was not now. It wasn't seen that way back when we were kids. We were just like, oh, cringe, my parents. Like, oh my God, let's not have a sleepover at blah blah's house because they have a compost toilet. Let's try to go to someone that actually has a flushing toilet. It was those kind of questions.
harmony. And I hated it. I'm like, such a Northern Rivers name. Now I embrace it as my whole branding. But
Yeah, right. And it's like, now it's just like so cool to say that you have the name Harmony. Like, my sister's middle name is Morningstar, and she's just like, but it's so much cooler now. But when you grew up in it and you were surrounded by it, it wasn't cool. So, my mom tried to get me to go to yoga, and I was just like, as if, like, never going to happen. I want to go and walk the streets of Byron with my best friends. And it took me ages. I think I was, in my mid to late 20s in Bondi, where I moved to after Byron and Mullum. And a lot of people would always say to me, hey, you should meditate. I'm quite a reactive person, which is my main thing that I will forever work on, forevermore. And people would constantly say to me, you should meditate. You seem really reactive. You're a bit angry. You should meditate. You should meditate. And of course, my anger wasn't always anger. A lot of the time it was a huge mask for sadness and feeling quite, this societal pressure and this anxiety and social anxiety, and always being a bit of a performer. But I kind of didn't do it. And then I got dragged to a yoga class on Bondi Road, a little studio. And I would love to say that it changed my life, but I kind of did the yoga class and was like, yeah, I don't get it. It's whatever. It did something to my inner world. Something shifted. And as you know, my brother passed away when when he was 27. So when I was close to 30. I think in that time, that glimmer of yoga and that space and that stillness that I could find in that practice that I couldn't find anywhere else because it was also murky and messy. I really clung to that. That was a lifeboat. And it's so many people's stories. So many people have a story like that about what's fire they were going through when they found their lifeboat of yoga or meditation or whatever it is. And yeah, I kept going back to the class. I found a teacher that I really resonated with who had a lot of fire and a lot of strength. And I think I saw a part of myself in her that I hadn't seen in other yoga teachers because they were all so love, light, and wellness. And I was like, well, that's not me.
where are the teachers?
Yeah. I was like, where are the ones that have a bit of a hard edge and maybe they swear a bit? And where's the relatable people?
Yeah.
And so I found her and I really clung to her, and I ended up doing yoga like a lot. And then I ended up doing my teacher training with the same woman that she had learnt from. So it was this really strong lineage. And I came back after my yoga teacher training. My first one was in the Spanish Hills, and I was staying in a teepee, which is, I don't do camping. It's not my jam. Love Airbnbs. So that was really, it was a lot for me. It was the first time I hadn't done kind of like a big after school trip with my girlfriends. I never did that. I played it very safe. And so that was my first time kind of going overseas by myself. And it was, I think, 16 young women that came from all across the world. There was only me and another woman that was Australian. And it was great for me. And I will always sing the praises of an immersion over kind of part-time teacher training. I think part-time teacher training has its place, especially if you have kids, and I completely understand that. But if you can immerse yourself in the fire of something and burn away those pieces of yourself, and especially now, phones weren't a big thing back then, but now not having access to a phone and to all of our social platforms and to everyone else in your world, there's something so potent about that. And it really changed it for me, really
Yeah.
changed it a lot. And I came back and I basically started teaching immediately, and I've never stopped.
Love that. And yeah, I could imagine your classes would be awesome. Like the ones that I absolutely love to go, so real, so honest, so full of energy, but also like that grounding presence because it's like that real earthy sort of soul of the earth, person coming through and teaching. So that's what made you move to Sydney in the first place? Leave your
I think like most kids that grew up at that time, it wasn't cool to stay. The only friends that I had that really stayed around that time were friends that kind of got in a relationship really early. And one of my best friends, stayed and never left. And she got in a relationship super early and she just really wanted to stay. But for me, I wanted to be an actress. So I was like, well, what am I going to do here? So I left and, came to acting school in Sydney and went to Nidra and did all the theater and loved it. And I think it has made me appreciate home much more. We were just speaking before about how much I want to go home. I think if I had stayed there, I would have a very different relationship with home. But because I've experienced Sydney and its traffic and how it's quite relentless, especially on a sensitive system like mine who craves horses and paddocks and space and trees and soil, I really got that craving to go home. And when I go home, I see like, I have 3 salt of the earth friends that are still there that are like my soul friends, and I see them, but I'm just spending time in my mom's garden and going out to the horses every day. Like I never go into Byron. I'm just, walking around Mullen with my daughter eating tofu chips, and it's it's pretty chill.
yeah. I love that so much. So from the way that we grew up in the northern New South Wales
Mhm.
and then moving to Sydney, which is very, very different. I have got friends who originated from Sydney and now live on the coast, and it is so different. And even like the wellness industry is very vast across the two of those places. So in your work now, what's one myth or illusion about wellness that you see women will buy into?
I think every single one. I think it's sold to us. Nothing. So I did a panel talk the other day, and the lady sent me through a list of questions. We're good friends. She's a naturopath, and she sent me through a list of questions of like, hey, this is what I would love for you to speak about. And one of them was about embodiment. And I was just doing a little bit of research and I was looking through, and when I did a Google search, the first, I'm going to say 17 things that came up when I typed in embodiment and women was like, buy this ebook, download this course, like all these things that you need to subscribe to. And I know that it is ridiculous for me to kind of sit here on podcasts and talks and go, we don't need to buy into this bullshit. Like, but the fact that embodiment as a practice, which is literally to like exist in your skin and bones, and maybe you get up in the morning and you don't do yoga and it's not Tai Chi and it's not meditation, but it's putting on music and moving, and you don't need a mat and you don't need Lululemons or Nagnata and you don't need a different type of tea in a drink bottle that's like BPA free. Like, just freaking exist in your skin and bones. But when it comes to women, it is all sold to us. There is something for anything that you could even possibly imagine. And women get completely overwhelmed by it. And I myself get overwhelmed by it. Like, I have a lot of good friends in different parts of the industry. And I'll be like, do I need this supplement, or is this like, because we're just getting targeted ads all the time, and it's never enough, whether we're in motherhood or we're in menopause or we're single. Like, it's never enough. It's just always, how can you kind of like biohack your way to a better way to existence? It's like, can we not just exist. So I would love to pick out one, but it's just constant. It's a constant onslaught all the
Absolutely.
time for women.
I think that's like one of the, not the main reason, but a huge reason that Ayurveda always really appealed to me, because the whole embodiment process really is just cultivating more sense of self. And like you said, just embodying inside your bones and embodying inside your body, which makes it really unique to you, which is why we go down the path of finding your own unique constitution. And like you said, it might not serve you to get up and do yoga every morning, and if you're doing yoga, to be in your Lululemons and have your perfect drink bottle sitting beside you. That's not the embodiment of the practice, or it's not the embodiment of you. It's more of that acting, sort of like stepping
Yeah,
into
and then
what God's rules are.
people feel like they can't start. They get this like procrastination that's so heavy because it's just on their chest, and they're going, I don't have that. And then once I get this supplement, or once I do this like protocol that this person put me on, it's just like, oh my God, just start. Just sit in a child's pose. Just start and take a couple of like breaths deep in your belly. Like, just start. And the thing is, we've been so led astray by all of that noise that we are so far away from our internal compass, which ironically is what everyone is telling us to tune into. And I had a practitioner on the fold the other day, and I was hosting a masterclass, and I said to her, she does a lot of EFT tapping. And I said, can you talk about, I said, I just want to do something around how every person will start by saying, if I'm leading a yoga class, I will often say, tune into your body. How do we know that we can actually tune into our body? Am I just saying this to 60 people in a room, and I'm getting 60 people look back at me going, I don't even know what you mean. Like, what does that mean? Listen to your body. What if they have so much noise going on in their head, which they probably do, and they've signed up for an hour class, and we start and we're in child's pose, and then we're in cat cow, and then we're doing it. But it's like, maybe they just need to actually sit for like a fair chunk of time,
Mm.
to even hear that voice, which is such a whisper at this point because everything else is so loud. So it's just, I don't know, it kind of really gets me going because we're just being sold stuff all the time, and we're just so far led away from our actual bodies, our actual systems, our actual feedback, that we don't even know what it is. Yet as women especially, we're told always like the feminine speaks to us. The feminine is it's intuitive. It's speaking to you the whole time. And if you don't want to be in your masculine all the time, constantly come back into your feminine and really listen. And women are like, I don't know what I'm listening to because I've just had so much shouted at me for so long.
Yeah. Or even if they do know what they're listening to, like say they are listening, and what they recognize is all of the noise,
Mm,
they feel like that is a negative thing or a bad thing, and they're meant to be listening to this soft feminine wisdom. That until they can clear that clutter, it's like if you've got a house full of crap everywhere and no clear path to walk through, you're not going to get through it until you move that. And so maybe the first step is that sort of awareness of, okay, well, what I'm hearing is a lot of crap going on in my head and some looping thought patterns. And
yeah.
it's like, what do I do from here? And sometimes sitting in that stillness can be a real challenge, and it's something we fear, because what is that noise telling us? Is it bringing up like these old stories? Is it bringing up some new stories that, don't feel comfortable for us to hear, because then we have to deal with it. So yeah,
And like,
it is.
you know, just start. And also, it's okay to just start with one. And I think a lot of the practitioners talk about on my platform, and I'm really big on the fold about, you know, fuck off the big fancy protocols. Like, it's so much. And every time we see, a lot of the time, if we see a nutritionist or a doctor or whatever it is, it's like these big fancy protocols. If you can put all of these in place, and if you can get all of those supplements on Vitally, and then you'll start feeling good. And it's like, or what about if you just sat for 5 minutes at the start of the day, you didn't look at your phone, you sat maybe with some like water, maybe it's warm water with lemon, who knows, but also you don't have to do it. And you just sat, and you might find that little skerrick of clarity or pause or stillness that you're actually searching for in all of these protocols and all of these movement modalities. You might actually just find that, and it might give you that clarity to go forth. But you know, it's
I love that so much. And that's what we teach in the Ayurveda Alchemist Academy. When you're a new graduate and you've got all of these skills and wisdom and tools, and then you start seeing clients, you want to give them all the things. Like
mm,
you want to give these huge, big dinacharya, this big protocol, and you're like, "Oh, if you did this, it'd be amazing, and this and this." And they get so excited. And I'm always like, wind it way back. One thing, start with one thing, because that one thing, it might sound so simple to us, but it can be life changing. Like you just said, sit there for 5 minutes with a cup of tea and just be in the silence instead of getting straight onto your phone, and maybe just start your day like that. And the more that you get into a role of wellness, then you can start to adopt things that are going to serve you and not what, like, the trendy sort of Instagram posts say. And I think that is like so important to understand that. And that's where we sort of look at the individual constitutions that come before us as well. I know for me, when I get like pizza clients, which is sort of more of that go-getter, fiery energy, and they love a protocol, and you give them like a protocol that's not like full to the rim, and they're like, okay, but what else should I be doing? You're like, nothing. Like maybe your issue is you're overwhelmed and you need to take things off your plate, not add more on.
yeah. And
Because
so many people are addicted to that. Like we see that all the time in our society. Like that's what we're addicted to right now. And so it's an actual issue that we keep experiencing, and we just really need to simplify it. And women especially, like we're dealing with this mental load, and mothers, like the mental load is heavy and it is voluminous, and it's just like, and then we just don't start. We have this false start because we're so freaked out that we're going to take a wrong step, because everything on socials, TikTok, Instagram, like whatever it is trying to sell us something different and telling us that we're doing it wrong. Like you're doing this, but you're doing it wrong. So it's just like women just get freaked out. And, I teach these incredible corporate clients that I love teaching, because they will often come out and it will be the simplest thing and they'll go, that was life changing. And it's
yeah.
like, I think especially you can get, my partner always calls it the wellness echo chamber. Like I'll go on a podcast and I'll go, yeah, but everyone's talking about that. Everyone knows that. And he goes, everyone doesn't know that. It's just you and all of your mates that do what you do. They're all yoga teachers or they're all naturopaths. And it's like, they all know it. They all know cyclical living. But if you spoke about cyclical living to someone who is absolutely not in that world, that could be really life changing for them. But instead, we keep going to the next step, the next step, the next step. And people are so overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And I've always like my constitution's always sort of lent itself to sort of like overdoing things and overcomplicating things. And I've realized, I think, especially when you sort of like hit that 40-year-old mark, you start to go,
Mhm.
hang on a minute. The key really is that whole simplify to amplify and just really focus on the things that matter. So I want to ask you, like, how do we unlearn the wellness dogma that tells us that healing must look a certain way? Like you've got to do all the things. Like how are we unlearning what we've actually been learnt over the last 10 years or taught? My English, wow, it's not very good
I
today.
mean, no, yeah, I think you're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. I don't know how we unlearn it. I mean, I say to a lot of people, I'm a huge fan of a huge unfollow cull on Instagram. Like unfollow the noise. And there are people that and you know what? I'm an extremely passionate person. I get real ranty real quickly. I go from 0 to 100 and I get that. But if it's overwhelming you, cut it out. Cut it out for the summer holidays and just go down to the beach more and put your feet in soil and sand. But I think especially in the wellness world, I mean, if we're talking yoga, which is, where I firmly sit, it's finding a teacher that you resonate with. It's all good to go to everyone's classes that kind of suits your schedule, but and we all want to box tick in our day, in our week, and before school pickup and after netball and whatever it is. But find a teacher that resonates with you, that speaks your language, that you love their heart and their spirit and what they're about, and follow them until, they inspire you to maybe up level, and then you follow someone else, like whatever it is. You don't have to follow them for forever. But I it's a lot, and I've been in this industry for nearly 14 years, and I still get caught up in it. So, it's designed to keep you in it. Like, that's what it's designed for. I'm 42 now, and now it's all perimenopause and how can you biohack your way out of perimenopause? Guess what? You can't.
You can't.
Like,
It's a fact of life.
yeah. But no one's going to tell you that because it helps everybody else. It serves everybody else. If you're constantly buying, all of the supplements and buying the protocols, like that's what helps people. But it's like, you can't. You can maybe do things to assist and support the rage that you feel towards your partner and how you're touched out. And if one more person asks you for one more thing, you're going to go and jump off a cliff. Like you can support yourself with that, but it's, it's, it's what we're designed to do. It's what our body's designed to do. Of course, no one wants to feel terrible, but sometimes we do have to sit in the uncomfort. And I teach that a lot in yoga. It's like, can you get comfortable with the discomfort? Because it's there for a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so interesting. The perimenopause through to menopause transition, like that's my specialty in my clinics, what I wrote my book on, like, and 100% it is a natural transition. And women don't want to go through it because it's a sign in our modern society of quote unquote aging, right? And losing your youth and everything. The thing is, I often have to explain, like, this is a natural progression. Yeah, you don't need to be in pain and you don't need to suffer with like horrific symptoms, but there is a physiological change happening in your body that is going to trigger some of those symptoms that, you will have, but let's make it more comfortable. And really, it's like this whole identity shift that we have to sort of really work on and speak to, because that often is the trigger for a lot of the struggling in this phase.
Mm.
And it's just, it's a phase that we have to go through as women. There's no biohacking your way out of it because it's who we are. It's what we do. It's what our bodies are designed to do. And I get so frustrated because it was taboo. It was never spoken about. And then all of a sudden it's spoken about everywhere. And then there's all these sort of wellness warriors on Instagram speaking a whole lot of crap because they're trying to sell you their uneducated, unsolicited programs and SUPs and all of these things. And it's just like, no wonder women get so confused, and they either like do all the things and overload themselves in their body, which creates more stress, anxiety, which then does like implicate if you are already ovulating and your progesterone and whatnot, or they get fed up and go, there's decision overwhelm, I'm doing nothing, like get all depressed about it. So yeah, like Alice said, follow specifically me and Alice on Instagram. No. Follow us and then no one else. No. Follow people that, are going to speak the truth, that have an understanding, like a real holistic understanding of everything. And what I want to ask you, Alice, is, as I just mentioned, like perimenopause and menopause used to be more of those taboo subjects. So what taboo topics do you feel aren't spoken about enough in mainstream wellness at the moment?
I like to talk a lot about boundaries. Never met a
Yeah.
boundary I didn't like. That's my thing. And I think especially, I guess, from my 2 firm feet stuck in the yoga world, there's a lot with younger people, women, men, everyone going through their yoga teacher training and then not having any boundaries, just being boundaryless. And it's not taught in yoga YTT at all, really, or it's very lightly kind of skipped over. And when we have blurred boundaries and unchecked stress, it really has such a negative impact, I guess, on our confidence and understanding of where we kind of stand in the world. And the wellness world is already so blurry and vast, and everyone's, yelling at you and trying to get you to, everyone's building their brand. And everyone is told in the wellness world to niche down. Niche down. I was told that. And so everyone gets super passionate real quickly and then very ranty all of a sudden at you. And I think, yeah, blurred boundaries is a big one. It's a big one in your personal life. It's a big one in your work life, in your relationships. It's a big one in just how you relate to everyone and everything in your life. And, especially when I was a younger teacher, I thought I had to give every single part of myself and my time and my energy to my students and be completely available whenever they need me, because that was love, light, and wellness. And that's what yoga was. And you are in service, and it's not about you. You are just a vehicle of service for these other people. And it really was detrimental to me. And then for ages after that, I kind of swung in the complete opposite direction. It's only like in the last few years that I've started to find my balance and that equilibrium back in that main road for myself. And I just think when I mentor a lot of, yoga teachers specifically, but also just people in the wellness world, I will talk to them a lot about boundaries, because there are people that we know that are a little bit of an energy vampire and they can't help themselves, and that's who they are. You have to have a firm boundary with those people. And I still have them as students now. And I just will be very like, hello, like go on into the studio. It's like, I can't talk to you for 45 minutes. Like, I can't, babe. I'm
Yeah.
going home and I'm probably going to be woken up 3 times tonight by my 3.5-year-old. So I can't give you what you need right now. And you're using me as a therapist, which I'm not, as an osteopath, which I'm not, as a naturopath, which I'm not, but you're taking my time as a yoga teacher and kind of trying to bundle it all together and, fill up your own cup, which only depletes me. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did a while ago, I don't know what number it is, but a whole podcast episode on basically energy vampires.
mm,
Because I had so many women coming to my clinic and they're like feeling so depleted. And when we pulled it all back, it really was they weren't putting in boundaries with themselves. And therefore, that's not putting in boundaries with the people around them. And they're allowing other people to literally suck their energy because they're not putting in those boundaries with themselves, which is so important for, like, if we are talking hormones and all those things, like
yeah,
it is a cascade effect. It's not just you age and your estrogen progesterone decline as well, boundaries. It's all of these things that are so important because
yeah.
they
And
deplete
when you
us.
speak to women in menopause, I think the thing that I'm so excited about is that they always say, "What's the best part of menopause for you?" Expecting that there'll be no silver lining, and they're like, "I don't give a fuck anymore." And I'm like, "Yes, can't wait." They just yeah, it's like I just don't go there anymore. Like, you don't like me? Okay, no worries. In youth, it's so geared towards like, how can I make everyone else happy and everyone like me and make sure that everyone just has the best experience possible. But especially with yoga, you're meeting people. And I will often say in my yin classes, I can't cheerlead you through this. I know I'm sitting at the front of the room and I know I welcomed you in and I know that you're here to be guided by me, but I cannot cheerlead you through this. I do not know what every single person is going through. I'm not a therapist. You have to let yourself be met on the mat. And maybe it's in that real murkiness or that absolute darkness or that real depth of heaviness. But it's like, you've got to meet yourself there and you've got to find your way through. I can't do that for you. Can't do that. I can say a couple of beautiful things that might really land for you, but, you know, and some people find that really, I'm not going to use the word triggering. They find it confronting. And I've had students that, I think a while ago, my favorite quote that a student has ever said to me is she was a woman probably, in the perimenopause to menopause transition. She said, "I used to really fucking hate your classes." And I was like, yeah, yep, yeah. She goes, "And really, like, you really triggered me." And I was like, yeah. Mhm. And she goes, "Because you gave so much space." And I was like, "I do." And I think that's a superpower. But when I first began teaching, I had a lot of senior teachers at that time tell me that I gave too much space. But there must have been something in me that knew, because it's like, I can't cheerlead you through this. Like, that's not my role. You have to meet yourself there. And I know it's confronting to sit in it and feel like you're being left there, but I'm not leaving you. I'm still in the room, but I can't pull you through, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that is such a valid thing to give people. You need space to
Mm,
be
mm,
clear, to move through what you're going through. But when you were speaking on boundaries before as well, I thought, in my earlier days in my clinical practice, I also let clients sort of overstep boundaries with me as well because of that whole nice girl, people pleaser, you're here to serve, you really want to show them that you can help them, all of those things, which are still all true. But without putting those boundaries in place, it only depletes you. And I thought about how, you know, like these days when you've got a business and when you are in an area of service, it seems for some reason okay to be able to email your practitioner or your teacher And if you don't get a response within 10 minutes, then you're on the Instagram messaging them, Facebook, like all of the things. And it's like you constantly have this filtration of like your work life in mixed in with your life these days. Like it's almost like you can't really separate the two when you are a person of service. And being able to learn how to do that is a real fine art and it is a challenge.
Yeah, which is why it should be spoken a lot on podcasts about why YTT should implement, this energetic work and this boundaries work. It should be a massive module. It's to me, it's more important than where someone's foot is in Warrior One. Like, don't we think that that's a little bit more important? Because people are getting so burnt out and then they're thinking, is this even the right industry for me? Like, should I even be in a place of service? Because it's also the reason why now you see so many people going, I'm going offline for a month. I'm going on holidays, I'm going offline for a month. Because if people don't put that boundary in place and literally log off for themselves, they are constantly available for everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I teach studio classes and I also have the fold and I'm constantly getting DMs about stuff and I'm just like, hey, I'm just feeding my daughter dinner. Then I have to do bath, then I have to do bedtime, and then I'll get back to you, which then is, whatever time it is at night. It's like that's when I want to be reading my book or watching Love is Blind. Like, let me live.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's applicable, like, even for women in maybe careers or, like, staying at home with their children, like, it's the same thing. The amount of bombardment you get these days, it's really hard to find that space and create that space for yourself where there is no having to get back to people, where there is no external noises, and that's what you say, providing that in your classes. That's why we do need the space. And in, like, the Ayurveda world and the yoga world, we talk a lot about the concept of pratyahara, withdrawing from all the external senses, and these days it's just so hard. And Ayurveda says that one of the main causes of disease is overuse of the senses. And that's why these days we're seeing more and more of these weird and wonderful and random diseases happening that seem like a simple process because we're just overusing the senses that we were given. So,
Completely. So
yeah.
interesting. Like I constantly say to people in my classes, if you've come from the mall, like Ringa Mall, which is close to me, I'm like, you've come from massive billboard. We can't even walk like in Sydney.
Mhm.
I walk on my street, which like I'm, 2 seconds away from the beach. It's a little beachy suburb. You still have the bus stops with the signs that are like a mini TV that are flipping over. So it's this constant bombardment. And you can be looking up at the trees 1 second and be like, beautiful sky, beautiful trees, it's blue and green. And then a second later, there's an ad for the Golden Bachelor. And you're like, what is it? And I was thinking about it the other day with my daughter, and I was like, I don't take her anywhere. I'm in a very privileged position where she's only in preschool 2 days a week and it's a small preschool and I've made all these choices for her. But it's like, I don't want her to see that. I don't want her to be in the pram or walking down the street with me and she sees these ads or she gets this taste of television and overstimulation and colors and sounds. It's like, I've worked so hard to protect her from that. And yet it's so ingrained in our society now. If you're in the middle of a city or wherever, you're getting that constantly. It doesn't matter that you have the little loop earplugs in, and we're all doing little things for ourselves that try and protect us or support our own kind of systems. But it is a constant bombardment. And from the minute you park your car at yoga and you get a parking spot and you come in and you're at reception, and then finally you leave your phone outside and you step in on your mat, and then everyone has an iWatch and they're checking. They're checking the calories, they're checking the things. And I'm just like, if you leave your phone outside, also leave your iWatch. It is exactly the same thing. The fact that you would think that I don't know that it's the same thing is very rude to me and offensive. Please take it off.
So true.
Like, I don't have one, but I'm just like, I see people checking it. I'm like, I know you're checking it. I can see you. Hi.
One other thing you often speak about is bravery. So, what does that actually mean to you, especially women navigating the wellness industry, motherhood, business, all the things that we've spoken?
Bravery is an odd one for me because I often get people saying to me, you're very brave. You're so courageous. You're really, really brave. And I've struggled with it for a while because I don't think that truth telling or being opinionated or being passionate should be labeled as brave, but I understand why we've come to that point where it seems extremely brave of a woman to put herself out there. But I think it arises a lot with social media. And I've said this a few times, but I would hate for someone to meet me down the street and have an interaction with me and get all of my this and hand gestures and big facial expressions and swear words and passion, and then log on to my Instagram and go, well, now I'm getting a very softly spoken, very subdued, very cool, calm and collected, curated Ali. And I don't believe that we should do that. And there are yoga teachers like that, and that is their real essence. And I think that's extremely beautiful. I am not one of them, but I think women are constantly labeled as brave just for kind of speaking out against the norm and going, I'm not going to put up with this, or this is kind of bullshit. Or I was putting up all these stories once. I must have been in the thick of it with my daughter, and I went to the studio and one of my students came to my class and she went, are you okay? And I said, yep. And she just started following me on Instagram and I go, yeah. And she goes, oh, I saw your story today. I was like, welcome to the shit show, girlfriend. Like, this is me. Like, there is no filter on this. I was like, that's not me having a mental breakdown. I just think that's me as the mother of a 3.5-year-old going through life as a small business owner. Like, that's just life. I wouldn't want to put up this perfect story for you and then you meet me and go, oh wow, it's not the same person. It's the same reason I dyed my hair back to brown from blonde. I didn't want anyone to get that kind of
Impressive that you were really blonde.
yeah. I was just like, it's a bit of a imposter syndrome when I'm blonde.
I actually did the same thing. I always have lots of
Yeah.
streaks and I've gone back to my natural color.
So no, this is me now.
So what's some of your non-negotiables when it comes to sort of finding balance, or even how do you personally regulate your central nervous system?
Oof, yeah. I really, really, really love and adore yoga nidra, and I started out as just a student of the practice, and um I fell so deeply in love with it. I think especially as a mother of a younger child, or any child really, it can be such an anchor. I think often as women and for women, if we say, hey, you should really sit down and meditate, which is what people used to say to me all the time, we're constantly trying to optimize. And I noticed myself when people used to say to me, you should meditate, I was like, well, if I'm going to take time for myself, then I'm going to go for a run or I'm going to do a Pilates class. It's like we're always trying to fit it into those midday nap times or before preschool pickup or whatever it is. And you think, well, I shouldn't move my body and I should work on shrinking and toning my body rather than creating space in my mind. That's ridiculous. Yoga nidra has become a real anchor for me in the last couple of years, and I really adore sharing it, especially with women. I recently hosted a day retreat and the yoga nidra was by far, it was like everyone was just like, thank you. Thank you for not guiding us to a strong vinyasa class. And I was like, we're all women over 30. Like, let's yoga nidra it out. Like, everyone needs space. Everyone needs to spend some time in that fourth state, which we call turiya. Like, it really, I feel like yoga nidra brings you back to life. You kind of go into it even for 20 minutes and you come out, and I notice everything in me softens in a really beautiful way. I feel like I can take deeper breaths. That fog has cleared. So for me, yoga nidra, um, I really enjoy being in nature. And I know that sounds like what every, wellness person would say, but it's not the beach. I just really enjoy being around trees and around earth. It was our childhood, and that's what brings me back into regulation. When I go home, I'm constantly out at my mum's horses. I think what you had as a child can often come back and be the thing that really soothes your spirit. So I find that, and obviously yoga, like I was asked the other day, what was the question? Like, what's one of the practices that you couldn't go without? And I wanted to say, I guess meditation, because that's what a good yogi would say. But the reality for me is that I think we all have this sticky residue of life that's constantly stuck with us, and whether it's a sticky residue of your day or your last month or the week or the person that you're kind of engaging with or the dynamics that you're having with your family at the moment, it's all stuck in the body and we need to shift it through. And for me, movement, especially yoga is the vessel for that. And I just feel so embodied after I've practiced yoga. And if I can put yoga together with then a yoga nidra, it's just chef's kiss, nothing better.
Love that. And just for our listeners who they probably understand what yoga is, just if they haven't heard of what yoga nidra is
Mm.
specifically, explain that in a sentence.
Look, yoga nidra is this beautiful kind of blurring and floating in this space between wakefulness and sleep. And I think it's really wonderful and supportive because it's guided. And I think if you can find someone's uh voice that you really respond to and love, and I have my teachers that I love their voice and the way that they guide yoga nidra, it can be really powerful because you're in that safe place in your body that allows you to drop very quickly. And the beauty about it is that it doesn't matter if you fall asleep. It's somehow got blurred, like everything when they tried to optimize yoga nidra and be like, use it for sleep. The point is not actually to fall asleep, but it's okay if you do. And sometimes I think the permission to let yourself go is what's missing from a lot of this wellness. Like, it's okay if you fall asleep. It's not what it's designed for, but it's okay if you fall asleep. You know what? If you need a nap, take a nap. And it's what your body was leading you towards anyway. I used to have a meditation teacher that said, if you fall asleep while you're meditating, um, that's you listening to your body. And I was like, oh, praise be. Yeah.
I'll go with that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Before we go, I want to talk to you about the fold and what led you to create that. But before we do that, I really want to just get a quick take. So this is a quick take on whether these are myths or truths of the wellness industry. So I'm going to give you a sentence and I want you to say if it's a truth or a myth and why, but it's a quick take. Yeah. So balance is the goal.
Truth. Because I don't think that we should be doing anything at 1,000% or 0%.
Beautiful. Self-care means bubble baths and matcha lattes.
Mm.
Why? I don't
Myth.
know why it's a myth for me. I hate matcha latte.
I only like it in an iced latte. Myth because it's something that social media created probably to sell you bath bombs and matcha supplement powder. Self-care should be something that not should be. Should is not the word that we're using. Self-care, can you make something an everyday, not even every day, but a regular ritual for yourself that actually brings you home to yourself? Because I don't, baths are great, but we can't always do it every single day. Sometimes we need to clean our bath with gumption before we jump in there. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a bath person. Your body is a project to be fixed.
No, myth, 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 myth.
Why?
Because you don't need to fix your body. It's not broken. It's not broken. It's not a house that is broken and needs, a new roof or a sandback or a new lick of paint. That is not, no, that's not how we're viewing our body in 2025. No, no,
No way. Busy equals important.
no, myth, 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 myth. Yeah. I think that's the patriarchy talking. The patriarchy is screaming that at you. It's a myth.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Truth.
Mm.
Yeah, especially as mothers, especially as women, especially as nurturers, caregivers, people that love on other people. Yeah, you need to really support yourself before you support other people.
And can you give me one myth that you want to bust and one truth?
God, harmony. Okay.
You're on the spot.
One myth that I want to bust, that rest is the enemy.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Screw that. Rest is not the enemy. Rest is incredible. As I just touched on, we're all overstimulated, constantly overwhelmed, constantly. Why is that, you ask? Because we are extremely busy. So what can we do to come back to equilibrium? It's rest. And maybe it is just a 20-minute yoga nidra, but that's going to fill you up more than just carrying on and just with brute force, just going for it. And then what was the
And
other
one
one?
truth you want everyone to know.
That yoga is not a self-optimization tool. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
a returning to yourself. And teachers can be an incredible, inspiring guide for you. But yeah, don't let the biohackers get you down and feed into all of their BS.
And so I want to ask you more about the fold, which is your wonderful creation. So what inspired you to create the fold? What is it and who does it serve?
Yeah, so the Fold serves women. It's for women from women. It's an online platform that I created from the depths of my heart. Just like every other yoga teacher during COVID, I started an online platform. The difference is that my partner is not a landscaper. He is everything technical. So mine looked very schmoozhy and was very amazing straight away. So I'm very lucky. But after a while of it serving quite a lot of people through COVID, my boyfriend and I had a chat and it was like, do you want to keep this as this, or is there somewhere else that you could see it evolving? And I sat with that. And then I thought, you know what? I would really love it to serve women. I love men. I'm not anti-men, but I do feel like there is something really powerful when women allow themselves rest and allow themselves to understand and acknowledge themselves more fully. And I really saw that there was so much of that lacking with where we are, as we've talked about, everything's biohacking, everything's optimizing. And that might work well for some men. It might work well for some people, but there is a huge slice of the population that doesn't work for. And so the Fold has mindful movement practices. It has vinyasa, yin, restorative, yoga nidra, slow flow, all of the things, but it also has, and it has Pilates. And we're about to add on strength and tone, but it also has an incredible education component. And that was really important to me because when I started learning about myself and my body, it was a game changer for me. And there was so much information that I felt that women weren't getting and they were lacking. And I like to think of the Fold as almost all of that information that you should have received when you're a young girl, but you didn't. I mean, we were all
Yeah.
putting condoms on a banana and that didn't help anyone, and going on the pill, Yasmin for our face at, 14 when we were just having normal hormones. Don't get me started. So it's all of the information that you should have received as a young girl and you're now receiving as a woman so you can understand yourself more fully. And we've actually put all of our masterclasses, which I think there's over 50, as free. So if you're someone that sparks some interest, you're like, you know what, I would actually just like to see what the masterclasses are about. You can log on to thefold.online and go to the masterclass section. All the masterclasses are free and you can learn from incredible practitioners, teachers, experts. Yeah, some of this information I loved these webinars, and some of it was so mind-blowing to so many women that I just really felt like we should share it.
That's so generous. Well, thank you so much. It has, been such a pleasure having you on the podcast and for opening up these conversations with us. Your work really is beautiful. And it's a reminder that wellness, it's not a performance, even though I know you love acting and performing, but this is not your performance. It is your. So this is something that, all women really, they need to have the truth of. And so I really appreciate you coming and just being so open and raw with us. And to all of our listeners, if today's episode gave you permission to question the wellness rules, to honor your own rhythm, then I would love for you to share this episode and tag us, both myself and Alice. And check out Alice's platform, The Fold, where you can find the masterclasses she spoke of, yoga nidra classes that she spoke of, a whole lot of other things. And hey, if you know where to find the ultimate sticky date pudding, send your suggestions to what's your Instagram, Alice?
Yeah. Alice Browning, the fold. The Fold.
It's the Fold. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right into my DMs. If I got sticky date recommendations, oof, yeah, that would be great.
Amazing. And come and give us a shout out at Harmony Inspired Ayurveda. If you want to go deeper into the concepts of Ayurveda and women's health and the alchemy of her, then go and grab a copy of my book, Ayurveda and the Alchemy of Her. These links will all be in the show notes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. This has been an absolute pleasure, my girl.
It has been all mine. Thank you.
Bye, guys.